Singleton when somebody came up to me and said, "Do you know they're drilling for gas in Singleton?" And I looked into it. I found websites where people were protesting in the United States against gas production there, which is strange for a country which has been a major producer of oil and gas for many decades now, that people should actually be protesting against it. So why should they be protesting against it? Because of the effects on the environment and the communities. And so there was a film called Gaslands, which was produced in America to show the effects on the environment and communities. And when I talked to people in Singleton, I showed them the film. They didn't believe that would happen here. Documentary filmmakers make documents to impress people, otherwise there would be no film. What happened was a rig was built in Singleton, and when I talked to people about it, they didn't know what it was. It just appeared. It's several meters, tens of meters high. It's a prominent part of the landscape, as you can see. A picture in the back there. It's not Singleton, but it's a typical rig. So people didn't really believe that these things could happen. And then people were shaken by an earthquake. But still, you know, could this be anything to do with the rig? Possibly it could be. The DCC and the British Geological Survey did some work on that. And then there was a second earthquake. People were shaking in their beds again. So, now that really made people angry, that there should be two earthquakes. But, so, Quadrilla said, okay, we'll suspend our operations. In fact, what happened is that the planning applications, the conditions for the planning applications had overrun anyway. The drilling in Singleton should have stopped in April, and the drilling in Wheaton had overrun. But the fracking had occurred at the same time as the two earthquakes. The fracking is a separate process to the drilling, but the two are combined. And there have been links which have been made in America, in Arkansas, there's been earthquakes, and they've placed a ban on that. But did the government stop Quadrilla from its operations? Not if you listen to Mark Menzies, Fylde MP, where these things are. He congratulates Quadrilla for making in fact, he said, Quadrilla has called for a halt to operations, and we should all welcome that. Mark Menzies is the assistant to Charles Henry in the DCC. And have they stopped? Well, what they say is that they stopped operations at Wheaton, and that they are cooperating with the DCC, with the British Geological Survey, and with Keele University, and that the government may be using guidelines shortly. So what about the environmental consequences? Well, when you speak to people in Singleton, what they find when people come round to take the groundwater to see if it's been polluted, these are people employed by Quadrilla. They take the water, they take samples for the water. This is what they tell me. And strangely enough, what the paper reports is that in relation to the earthquakes, a spokesman for Quadrilla says that, you know, we agree monitor earthquakes in the area. We're going to agree to monitor earthquakes in the area. And we will be downloading information and sending it to the DCC. Quadrilla bill. So that's a good one. And what about the other effects? Well, one thing that's come out of the inquiry, the recent Commons inquiry, is that there should be more monitoring. There has to be more monitoring. When I spoke to the Environment Agency in March, before the fracking, saying these operations are going ahead and there may be air pollution problems, they said, well, we don't deal with that. So who does? Nobody would admit to actually dealing with it. And when I spoke to people in Singleton and Wheaton recently, what has happened? I surveyed people, 9 out of 20 people I asked had seen an increase in some respiratory problems. One person has had to move house. He's had to move from his 2-bedroom house in Singleton to a bungalow because he can no longer climb stairs. Another person has had respiratory problems so badly for the period which they announced fracking that he's felt like somebody's been sitting on his chest. These are homes which are around about half a mile away from the rigs and next to local primary school. When I went to Wheaton, other people, which is a mile away from the rig in Wheaton, other people said that they were also having respiratory problems, and their respiratory problems included not having difficulty getting climbing stairs, had been at the same time as they had found in Singleton at the time of from the time that the fracking had started. So now Quadrilla are cooperating with the DCC over that. But is there still drilling? Well, people say that they smell in the air when they've had these problems. It's like the old coal gas, and this is a mile away from the rig. So we are talking about fugitive emissions here, which are a major concern about the greenhouse gas emissions from these wells. There's a parallel between air pollution from methane and people saying that there's air pollution from methane and these illnesses happening. But, well, I don't know, has there been air monitoring? I've written to the Environment Agency to ask them, but maybe Quadrilla are doing that. So, what are Quadrilla's answers to these? They've been quoted recently in Natural Gas for Europe. They're saying, guys, go as quickly as you can. It's a political thing. Does the UK want natural gas or does it want something else? It's how fast you can drill your wells. That's Peter Turner of Quadrilla. So, in the next round of licensing for Arsenal gas, how many companies will be lobbying the government for wide areas to drill and create these problems, which may be associated with gas rigs elsewhere. But so what's the answer? Well, the French have campaigned long and hard against this, and everybody needs to be aware of what the risks are from shale gas. The French are even producing leaflets in several countries, so in tourist areas, people from different countries who are visiting them can see that this is a problem. They want to reach every single person, and there's been hundreds of thousands of people sign petitions against shale gas. Although the opposition socialist parties don't believe that the government, the Senate's laws to ban shale gas have gone far enough. We've got to go out there and campaign, meet people, talk to people, tell them what the problems are. And that way, really, it's the community's problems that we've got to focus on, and in that way, cut down the carbon footprint. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all our speakers. And just a quick brief announcement before we start the Q&A.